geographical zones of this country, that is the northeast, northwest, north central, south-south, southeast, and southwest. As already stated, this is an emergency meeting convened today to be attended by all the chairmen of the State Council of Traditional Rulers in all 36 states, plus Abuja, Federal Republic of Nigeria. This meeting is extremely important to us as the fathers of the nation because it seeks to address and provide solutions to the government on issues of urgent national importance. The prevailing security challenges in the country, such as Boko Haram, kidnapping, banditry, militancy, youth disturbances, and other activities are worrisome. Recently, the country experienced a breakdown of law and order as a result of peaceful protests by the youth-tied NSAS, demanding for an end to police brutality, better condition of service to Nigerian police, among others. Presently, killing, looting, and molestation of citizens are being experienced across the country, which have led to declaration of curfew in many states. These have created a serious cause for concern by all stakeholders, particularly the traditional rulers, who are not just the custodian of our cultural heritage, but also the closest to the grassroots population and have a duty to maintain the norms and values of our society. It is expected that this august gathering will passionately examine the issues and come up with formidable and applicable advice to the government on the way forward. Also, during this meeting, members may wish to know that the National Assembly Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution recently called for submission of memorandum for possible consideration by the Constitutional Review Committee. This was adequately published in most of the national newspapers. In the light of the above, and in consultation with the chairman and co-chairman of this council, members of the coordinating committee, we made a quick move to resubmit the ADEYEYE memo prepared by the council in August 2009 for the fact that the contents of this document are still relevant up to today. We just dusted it up and changed the dates therein. Copies of the submitted memorandum has been sent to all the National Executive Committee members for scrutiny and further deliberation during this meeting. Finally, I will not end this speech without our commiseration with the Mr. President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, and all the state governors in Nigeria on the ugly incidents that have confronted the country in the recent times. As for the Secretary to the Government of Federation, we sincerely appreciate your immense support and encouragement to the Council at all times.
Our dear nation, and to the glory of God, each and every kingdom that we are all seated upon will continue to prosper. I want to thank also the FCT Minister for coming for our emergency meeting today and for us to deliberate on the topical issues of what we all know that is going on in their country. All the traditional rulers across our country, we are the fathers and custodian of our tradition and culture. We know all the roles that we have all played in what has actually happened to our nation. On this note, I want to give that credit for every role we have actually played in trying to downplay and actually work towards talking to our subjects concerning all the things that happened in this country. We thank God Almighty that what actually happened did not slip to anarchy in our their country. What we're talking about today is not what we will all be seated to be talking about. We still have a very pivotal role to continue to play. We still have a very key bridge in terms of closing the gaps between our people and our political leaders. It's very important for us to all know that we have a lot of role to play. It's very important again to work with the government and let government be very closer to our people. On this note, I want to implore the SGF for the SGF to feedback everybody in government that it's not only about when we're doing politics or when time is very close to election that you should be very close to people. You should come up with a program or initiative that from time to time we should devise that means of getting close to our people in order to support we the traditional rulers. It's very important for that gap to be bridged so that issues that we experienced in Nigeria recently will not reoccur. It's a lesson for each and every one of us, and we all must work towards how to better the lot of our youth in this country. It's every time we've been talking about it, we should try as much as possible to work towards separating the corn from the chaff. We know that most of them are very frustrated. We know that a lot of issues that are happening in this country, we need to work towards how to separate the good ones from the bad ones. And the take home of what actually happened during this NSAS protest is for us to look at the positive side of our youth. I know government is doing that, coming up with a lot of programs. We will continue to work with you. We are giving commitments that as traditional rulers of this country, we will continue to work with you, close ranks with you. But it's very important, we traditional rulers cannot do it alone. It's very important for you in government to actually work with us because we are closer to our people. We know the good, we know the bad, and we know the ugly within our system. It's very important for you also to every time come back to your constituency. We like what the president just did recently by announcing that all ministers should go back to all their constituencies. It's a very wonderful development. It's something that we want to continue to encourage you to be doing from time to time. We need to bring governance to people so that issues like this will not reoccur. Also, the positive side of what actually happened with this demonstration, we should look at how some of the youths have been able to coordinate themselves before it was eventually hijacked by the hoodlums, and see how they can actually contribute towards governance in this country. On this note, on behalf of all the traditional rulers in this country, we want to give our commitments to you on behalf of my humble self and His Eminence Sultan of Sokoto. Any time, any day you call on us, we will be there. Anytime, any day, and all the royal fathers that are here, we will continue to work with you. Nigeria belongs to all of us. We should ensure that things are done properly in this country. We should ensure that all the hue and cry of this youth, we should continue to work towards how we can meet their agitation. It's very important for us to know that they actually, the future of this country, because of their demography, belongs to them. On this note, we want to welcome all the government officials here, on behalf of all the traditional rulers, that God Almighty will continue to keep our country safe and God Almighty will continue to keep Nigeria as a country. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Your Eminence, let me start my speech by thanking you for accepting to adjust the time of the meeting, because initially I had information that this meeting was to hold at 11 o'clock, but because I have other commitments of national significance, I requested and you graciously accepted to adjust the time to 10:30. For that, I am grateful, sir. It gives me great pleasure to be in the midst of your Royal Highnesses, Your Majesties, to declare open this emergency meeting of the National Executive Committee of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria. Let me begin by conveying the warm felicitations of His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to express his thanks and appreciation to our highly revered royal fathers for your guidance, support, and unceasing prayers for our country in this trying moment of our existence as one indivisible nation. As we all recall, the National Council of Traditional Rulers was established to provide a veritable platform for interface between government and the custodians of our tradition and culture, so as to sustain the paths to feeling the pulse of the citizens at the grassroots, channeling the thoughts and reasoning of government to the people, and enriching the process of governance. This administration has remained irreversibly committed to these goals and objectives. Your Royal Highnesses, our nation has been going through a lot of difficult challenges in recent times. While some predate this administration, others have emerged, and all hands must be on deck to change the course. These challenges range from insecurity, issues of insurgency, economic downturn, the COVID-19 pandemic, drug and substance abuse by citizens of all demographies and gender, and most recently, the protests by Nigerian youth, which was unfortunately hijacked by other tendencies. The resultant looting, mayhem, and even desecration of some traditional and royal institutions all point to the need for all leaders of this nation to come together for national reawakening and strengthening. I seize this opportunity of this meeting to express the sympathy of this administration for losses of life suffered by our royal fathers, businesses, institutions, and individuals during the recent mayhem. This National Executive Committee meeting is coming at a time that the leadership role of our traditional leaders is very much needed to set our national clock. I must at this point acknowledge your invaluable contributions to the successes recorded in the national response to COVID-19 pandemic. The elimination of polio, the fight against insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, religious intolerance, drug and substance abuse, and the quest for peaceful coexistence. Your Royal Highnesses, while so much has been accomplished, much more will need to be done to secure our nation for the future and remain on the path to development. we must also remain vigilant. I therefore urge you to include as part of your agenda for this meeting discussions on the various challenges facing our nation, and in particular, generate ideas and solutions to the consequences and lessons from the recent protest by the Nigerian youth. As custodians of our culture and tradition, you are the closest to the people at the grassroots, and your recommendations, I'm sure, will reflect the true desires and aspirations of majority of Nigerians from all geopolitical zones. Let me assure you that government eagerly awaits your recommendations as inputs that will help enrich the policy, programs, and plans that will be put in place going forward to address the demands made by the youth and many more for the good of our nation. Before I declare the meeting open, let me acknowledge Your Royal Majesty, the Ooni of Ife, that government deliberately decided to ask ministers to return to their states because they are representatives of the states at the federal level to engage. But we are going a step further, that we will demand of all our political appointees from every state to prepare and return home to engage with the people so that we can narrow the gap between the governed and those that govern. This is very, very important so that policies, programs, and projects of government will receive ownership at the grassroots level through the institution of our traditional rulers. First on the list of stakeholders that we listed when Mr. President directed ministers to go back to their states was to engage with the traditional institutions, because we are very, very convinced you laid a solid foundation for our nation and for anything to be built that will be sustainable and would maintain the posture of prosperity for our nation. It must be anchored through the institutions of our traditional rulership, who are the custodians of both our culture, our moral values, and our deepened ancestral institutions that have stood the test of time. It is now my singular honor and privilege, Your Eminence, Your Royal Highnesses, to declare open this emergency meeting of the National Executive Committee of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria. I wish you a very successful deliberation, and when you prepare to return home at the end of the meeting, God's journey mercies, and I thank you for your kind attention and the very invaluable support that you have continued to render to the federal government of Nigeria. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
When you are in a place like this, and for you to say something like this, for somebody to take home and tell somebody what you have said, you have to be very, very careful of what you say because of social media. Before social media twists the very good thing you said, which is positive, into something terribly negative. And that's why this opening ceremony is so short, straightforward, done in a military fashion. All of us here are military generals because we all command troops in our various places since time immemorial, before Nigeria came into being. Whenever I see Jaja Bokobo, I always bring back those memories that we discussed with him when we were young people, when we read history. But in some history, the federal government removed from our syllabus, and our children don't know history. But we learned that the government had ordered the Minister of Education to take history back, but we don't know whether they have done so. It's been about 3, 4, 5 years. SGF, please take note of this. I would like to welcome 3 most distinguished members of this committee. The Emir of Lafia is coming to this meeting for the first time. A judge of the Supreme Court of Nigeria who dropped, is it the wig or the gown or what, to don the turban, the robe. He dropped the robe and donned the turban. You can see the reverence, the importance of this, our institution. From Supreme Court to Emir of Lafia. He's coming here for the very first time. Then the Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, is coming to this meeting for the first time. And the New West baby of the family, the New West baby of the family, the Emir of Zazzau, the chairman of Kaduna State Constitutional Rulers. These 3 most distinguished Nigerians are all very known and will be an invaluable contribution to this council in terms of contributions to our discussions at all times. And like I've always said, there is no institution in this country or in the world where you can find the caliber of people that you have in the National Council of Constitutional Rulers. Of all professions, from the best profession of all, the military. Yes, it's the best profession of all, the military, in which some of us belong, retired generals. We don't retire, we don't tire. To engineers, to customs officers, to professors of universities. I can see the Chotif smiling, even though his face is covered with the face mask. You know one good thing about this face mask? It covers your identity. When I came in, so many of you, I couldn't recognize you. It's the new thing in town, to cover your face because of the situation we find ourselves all over the world. So on your behalf, I would like to welcome these 3 most distinguished Nigerians to our fold and pray for them for most successful tenure for the period Almighty Allah has picked for them to be on the seats. And I want to assure you they will be very big, they will contribute very, very hugely to our contribution to our discourse for a better country. The second point in my closing remarks, and I'm not closing because we are going into closed session at the opening when the SDF and the minister leave. I would like the press to look around the seating arrangement. I was sitting up there, I took note of how we were seated. You can see all of us mixed. It's not a south, east, west, north. You just see everybody. It's not a Christian, Muslim, and whatever. That is how we want Nigeria to be. The way we are seated, and when I came in, I was seeing people's faces with masks covered, very radiant, very happy. That's how we want Nigerians to be, and that's what I want our politicians to emulate in working towards a better country. We are all seated, irrespective of how we are dressed, what we are wearing, what religion we profess. We are here as Nigerians, as leaders, as elders, as fathers of the nation. And I think it's important, it's an important point. Whoever made this arrangement, I think, should be congratulated. So I want to thank our royal fathers who, at a very short notice, were able to come for this emergency executive committee meeting. When we got information about happenings all over the country, I got some phone calls from some of you from the south, southwest, south-south, Sultan, when are we meeting? We have to come together and salvage this country. That's what really pushed us. I just called the chairman, the co-chairman, Ooni. What are you doing? When are we going to fix date for this? And he said, well, anytime. He is free for the whole, for the next 2 weeks. I now called the coordinating committee chairman, the SNP. I said, look, make personal phone calls to each member, not letter, so that they will know the importance of this meeting, because they all know, they all observe what's happening all over the country. And within that short period, we never have such a notice, and we converse like this. Almost everybody is here, except those who couldn't come. Chairmen personally are here. So I would like to personally thank you for your commitment to this country, for all your comments made so far when we talked on phone. And it's important for us to know, as leaders of our diverse people, we're all seated here as one big family. Whatever anybody says, whatever anybody wants to do, he cannot and he will not divide us. So I'd like to thank you for coming. I'd like to thank the SGF, the MC, the Waziri of Katsina. I don't know when he became MC. He's a professor. He's supposed to be talking in the classroom. He tried to tell you how SGF had been very helpful to us. Yes, he had been a very strong pillar to this council and also to NAREC. And since he came on board as SGF, he has always helped to see that they meet the requirements of our meetings, either as National Traditional Rulers or Nigerian Religious Council. So I'd like to, on your behalf, once more thank him and urge him to do much more. And because we know to whom much is given, well, you said so, SGF. So we assure you, please convey our greetings to Mr. President. We are always ready to work to make this country a better place, where peace and justice reign. Justice. Justice. I'm repeating justice because of the importance of justice in any developing society, in any developed society, in any community, in any leadership position. There must be justice in whatever a leader is doing. Even in your own homes, there must be justice in the way you run home. If not, for those of you who have 4 wives and 25 children and whatever, you know the problem if you don't do justice to all. We'll ask Ezenipe to tell us how he was able to do justice to all. But it's important to emphasize this justice issue. But if you see problems cropping up everywhere, there's a problem with justice. And that's why you don't have very good solutions. Because we know, rightly, as Danfodio said, he said, a nation can endure with unbelief, but it cannot endure with injustice. So justice is the foundation of any nation. So Mr. SGF, please extend our appreciation to Mr. President and tell him that at the closed session, when we finish our deliberations, we will send the messages to him. But we urge him to always be just in whatever he is doing. We will tell our governors to always be just in whatever they are doing. And as I want to assure you, this council, this leadership of Traditional Council of Nigeria, for all 30 states and FCT, will always put justice at the first thing on our table. We do so before we go. So at closed session, we'll discuss the issues of national importance, the state of the nation. And I want to assure you, the SGF, we are going to be very, very blunt, very open, and very frank in our discussions on all issues affecting this country. Nobody is going to hold back, and I urge all of you to be very blunt, very open, and very frank on all issues, so that at the end of this meeting, we'll come up with solutions to our numerous problems in this country, and then send these solutions or proposed solutions to Mr. President for implementation. Implementation. That's always been our bane. We discuss issues, we don't implement. We'll come back after 6-7 months. 1 year, we discuss the same issues, we go back to our various homes, we don't implement. The problems are there. And I think that's what's been happening in this country. It's time for us to wake up, to change. If we want a very great country, and of course Nigeria is a great country, we will make it much, much greater, inshallah. We thank you all. May Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us back to our very destination at the end of our program. And once more, welcome. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, okay. We actually, after the opening ceremony of this emergency meeting of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria, which was declared open by His Excellency the Secretary of the Government of Federation. And after the opening ceremony, he left us and we entered into a closed session. And actually we discussed mainly about the state of nation concerning the recent happening in terms of these strikes by the youth and the response of the government to that strike, and also its opposition to the royal fathers to ensure that we may actually support for peaceful coexistence of this country, and also assure the government and the youth that yes, whatever the grievances they have, there are so many very positive ways of forwarding their grievances, not to resort to violence, destruction, and killings. So we make propositions and we ensure that we are going to actually present a position paper immediately after this meeting, in which we are going to submit to the federal government.
Well, the meeting was so excited. We learned a lot of things there. We gave a very useful advice, what we want the federal government to do, the states, and the individual. So that's what we discussed today. I was so happy with it. And we are going to give account of the meeting to the state as soon as we arrive in our state. So that was what happened.
Sir, proposal is a different thing.
Yeah.
Saying it is another.
Yeah.
The process of monitoring and implementing your communique, your decision here. Are you going to do a follow-up after you get to the presidency?
Yeah, we've discussed that. The implementation. We've told the federal government what to do. And we are going to see them on Thursday in respect of that, to implement it. This is going to come out in a beautiful way. It's not going to be as,
Can you just mention one that has to do with the youth restitution?
No. I don't want to leak it now. But we'll get the...
But it will address the growing...
It will address everything. It will address everything. We know the problem of our youth. And we know the problem of the federal government, what they want to do. We don't want to print them, so let's discuss it. We will announce it officially to you.